Man, I hate that I have to make this video, but here we are. We gotta talk about Ben Simmons. Now, the preliminary stages to the NBA season is literally 2 to 3 weeks away. We're talking about preseason training camp media day right around the corner, and despite being that close, there's still some pivotal names that are kind of floating around the ethosphere that is the offseason. Russell Westbrook still has not found a home. Kuminga's still trying to negotiate a new contract with the Warriors. Shout out to Cam Thomas because he finally landed a deal with the Brooklyn Nets. However, it was a qualifying offer, and I'm pretty sure that's not what he was looking for. But perhaps the biggest storyline during this offseason pertains to Ben Simmons. That's an ongoing theme throughout his career, everyone discussing what team he's going to go next, how he's going to look like this upcoming season, and of course, the iconic open gym runs where he's working on his jump shot that never actually materialized in the NBA. Yes, all those videos tend to always creep around during June and July, but this time there's a little bit more at jeopardy for his career, and that's his actual career. As now there's rumors, and very legitimate ones, claiming that Simmons is starting to consider retirement. Now, for the people out there who've been following Simmons' career, especially when he transitioned to Brooklyn, some of this news may not be that much of a surprise to you. Out with Brooklyn, his production reached all-time lows, and it started to get so bad that it's really hard to justify him having on your roster at any expense. It's a huge reason why, with the handful of teams that have shown some level of interest, they've come to the table with only a vet minimum contract during the summer. Those teams being the Boston Celtics, Phoenix Suns, Sacramento Kings, and recently the New York Knicks. But Simmons doesn't want to play for a vet minimum contract, while also wanting to play for a team that is trying to contend in the playoffs, which is going to be a really steep task to ask for someone of Simmons' caliber over the past couple of years, but that's what he desires. This task is actually so daunting that recently Ben Simmons parted ways with his agent, which I'm pretty sure there was some disagreement between the two parties about what exactly is going to be reality, because I mean, I don't know where Ben Simmons lies in this whole thing, but yeah, there's no other way you're going to play for any other team if you're not willing to take a significant pay cut. But everything I just said are for the people who understand how exactly we got here with Simmons' career. And the unfortunate truth is that majority of people in the NBA community tend to lean more on the other direction, loudly throwing criticism towards Simmons' way without having any clear understanding on how exactly we got here. And to be fair, some of the criticism is certainly warranted. I'm not going to sit and act as if like a player of Simmons' tax bracket should not receive that level of criticism, because oh boy, was he walking it to the bank. I cannot deny Ben Simmons made sure he had his paper. Cannot deny that whatsoever. But I do believe that the criticism is really in marriage to what he was producing in contrast to how much he's getting paid, rather than what exactly is occurring, because most people fell off of keeping up with Simmons after the infamous pass in 2021 in that playoff run. That was really, really bad. So what exactly happened and how did we get here? I'm not going to sit here and give you like this detailed, like, oh my goodness, back in 2018, this happened in no, the answer is injuries. That is literally the answer. Injuries. I think too many people feel comfortable with this idea of throwing the label of Ben Simmons just being this lazy, good for nothing, money hungry goblin. Like I think too many people, they feel too comfortable saying those things, and some of which I think the self-awareness of Ben Simmons just isn't there, like showing up to the arena in some of the brightest clothing of all time, like the material that you just want to be seen, and that's very frustrating to the average consumer. But I do think that it's very important that people realize that the reason why Ben Simmons isn't playing isn't because he's just so bad at basketball, or he's so mentally fragile that he can't even emotionally work up the courage to put on a basketball jersey. Like that's not what's happening right now. Ben Simmons has been dealing with debilitating back injuries for years now. And quite frankly, I do believe it's pretty disappointing that not too many people have highlighted this outside of potentially some Philly fans and certainly out in Brooklyn. But not enough people are talking about this, because this man has been trying to play basketball, but he literally cannot because his back keeps giving out on him. And also, to be fair to Ben Simmons, it's not just his back. He's also had knee problems, feet problems. For those who may have forgotten, Ben entered the NBA with a fracture in his right foot, and he missed what was supposed to be technically his rookie season. So he missed that entire year because of a fracture in his right foot. The following year, plays basketball. He looks really, really good. And I think a lot of people gloss over the fact that there were already signs of him having reoccurring injuries as early as his sophomore season, when he dealt with not only some ankle and elbow soreness, but right before his third year in October is his first reporting of having back pain. Now, in the 2018-19 season, he played a lot of games, only missed 16. Some of those games he missed, however, was because of back issues, so keep that in mind. And then in the very next season, a game against Milwaukee, February 2nd, 2020 to be precise, is when he exited the game prematurely due to glaring back concerns. Like, he was literally holding his back in the middle of the game. He would go on to be out for the remainder of the year, and even when the bubble came around, he still sat out during that whole playoff run thing that he did in the bubble, because he was not only dealing with back issues but also had some knee injuries as well. The following year, there isn't any reporting of his back issues as much in the 2020 and 2021 campaign, but that of course is a year where everybody start just blasting him because of course of the infamous pass in the playoff run against the Atlanta Hawks. So there's that. And then from there is where I think the disconnect from a lot of people starts to occur, because remember, after that playoff run and he got bashed by a lot of people, Doc Rivers really questioned him, Ben Simmons made a stance that he no longer wanted to play in Philly, to the point in which he was willing to hold out and just not put on a Philadelphia 76ers jersey anymore until he was traded to another team, and then he would go on from there. However, while this is also occurring, Simmons is dealing with back issues. It's not properly reported. It seems as if like he's just not playing games because he has mental problems. He's so scatterbrained, he's so fragile. But come to find out, by the time he gets traded to Brooklyn, it is revealed that he took an MRI and was diagnosed with a herniated disc in his lower back. That's what happened when he got shipped over to Brooklyn. That was in March of 2022. April of 2022, he was ruled out for the rest of the season. In May of 2022, he underwent back surgery. Then we follow up in the next season, February of 2023, he had left knee soreness. March 5th of 2023, he had an MRI that revealed even more inflammation in his back. And then later on that exact same month, he was diagnosed with another pinched nerve in his lower back that shut him down for the rest of the season. The following year, he missed the first half of the regular season, made his debut in late January 2024, but then announced in March that he would be out again for the rest of the season, and eventually had another surgery in March. So he's had 2 back surgeries effectively within a 24-month span. So when people make this argument about Ben Simmons and he's just lazy, he doesn't want to try hard, he just collecting checks, the truth of the matter is, and I know I'm pretty sure y'all know who I'm referring to when I'm yelling like that in the mic. The reality is though is that Simmons has been trying to get back on the floor, but bro, he's had 2 back surgeries before the age of 30. 2 back surgeries effectively within a 24-month span. 2 back surgeries that have reoccurred with the same problem, and that being a pinched nerve. Simmons isn't playing because he's lazy or he's a mental case or because no one in the NBA doesn't know how to use a non-shooting 6'9" player. Like, Simmons has the adequate skill set when he's healthy and right. He has the adequate skill set to play practically on like 80% of the teams in the NBA, I would argue. The problem isn't his skill set, it's not his mental, it's not any of that. It's the fact that he literally just cannot play basketball. And anyone who's actively watched him play, he doesn't jump the same, he doesn't run the same, he doesn't give the same effort defensively. There's nothing really about him that transitions into a player that can play any high-level basketball for any extended period of time. And so when we're talking about retirement, again, it's not retirement for a player who's lazy, a retirement for a player who's trying to grab his money and run. It's talking about a player that's looking at retirement because he doesn't know if he's going to be able to walk properly in the next 4 to 5 years, which is why it is slightly understandable to why Simmons doesn't want to just play another year in the NBA for a vet minimum. If he plays in the NBA and only gathers a few $1 million, that's not going to be enough of an impact in his life financially to justify potentially jeopardizing his ability to function as a human being for the rest of his life. Now, personally speaking, I would argue, if I am Ben Simmons, you should just sign 1 more year, because at that point, you've been 10 years in the NBA. You'll get a full pension as well as healthcare, really, really good healthcare for the rest of your life. And in my opinion, that should be the goal for Ben Simmons at this stage of his career. But for everybody else, beyond like what is strategically the most intelligent thing to do from a human standpoint, in terms of basketball, who we knew Ben Simmons to be is over. Like, that player is never going to come back again. And it's sad to see that happening at the age of 29. A player who was just drafted less than 10 years ago, a player player who came into the NBA with high expectations and iconically was being compared to not only LeBron, but then someone told LeBron, you can chill out, man. Don't even worry about it. We have Ben Simmons. It's crazy for us to go from that to where we are right now in less than 400 NBA games, because that's what it's been. Ben Simmons has played only 383 games in the NBA, and it's sad to see it transpire this way. It's sad to see that it is panned out to where we're talking about someone who is potentially afraid of going out there playing basketball and ending up not being able to walk properly. I think those are all very legitimate concerns, and I don't think none of those concerns should be trivialized. But it is also, it's a bit upsetting to see that potential never really pan out the way in which a lot of us believe that it could have been. Because personally speaking, I wasn't off the Ben Simmons train just because what happened in 2021. Sure, he may not be mentally able to take on the responsibility of being the best or second best player on a team, and I think that's fair, but don't allow the money to change who he was on the floor, the impact that he had. Because Ben Simmons was really one of them ones. He was really one of the best defenders at his absolute best, could defend genuinely 4 positions. And at someone with his height and size, I just have a hard time believing that we don't go on to see one of the best defensive players in NBA history for another 5 to 7 year period at worst. If that's all that Ben Simmons goes down as one of the best perimeter defenders or just one of the best defensive players a league has ever seen, regardless of shooting, regardless of scoring, regardless of if you think that warrants a number 1 overall pick or warrants the payday that he received, regardless of those things, who he was on the floor, I definitely believe we missed out on one of the greatest defensive peaks and primes in NBA history, and it sucks to see it in this fashion. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.